I did a little bit looking around on Reddit. And I saw this question that kept popping up by a lot of different people, and it was around families, right? And the question really comes down to, is cutting off your parents self protection or just running away? Right now, this can go many different ways. And I'm going to run this question through Marseille and also through Rider Waite, just to compare and contrast on how the energy works with the question. And so with the Marseille, we read it in a line. Okay. And so it's all around the moon. Is what we're seeing here, the theme. So the core tension, the way I read Marseille is that I use a center card as a core tension to the reading. And I'm feeling that there's a lot of secrets that have been exposed. It was things that were done in the dark now coming to light, it feels like to me. And so just off that one card, it's not running away. It's really centered on self-protection because things were being said in the dark that weren't nice. All right. Now what we do is, in the Marseille reading tradition, these cards are clarifiers, kind of like a Lenormand. They call them flank, or you can call it mirror, or whatever you want, but they interact with this energy. And so here you're seeing the Queen of Coins, and it feels to me that they would always use money against this person and lie about them. And if you look too, the Queen is looking directly at the moon in the card. So it's kind of like she knows what she's doing and she's holding the money up right in your face saying, yeah, what are you going to do about it? And so every time you try to battle that conversation, it just turns into a explosive argument. And again, here you have the other pentacle card, and this one is a 10. So it's really around a vicious cycle of lies. And see the moon here looking here. But the thing is, lies are being exposed because the moon is now looking at the money and starting to see the truth between this pattern that's been happening for a very long time. So the 10 goes back to 1. And what are you going to do? So is it cutting off your parents, run away? You're not running away. You're cutting off not so much your parents per se. You're cutting off the toxic energy that's being perpetrated by people who say they care about you. That's how I read it with a line of 3. Now, if you want to kind of go further, you can say, okay, let's pull another card, drop it here. And you can see how that this 8 of Swords, see how it's kind of going, well, it's going down from here, which means that the mind games are really hard and it puts you in a position of non-defense. You just didn't feel like doing anything. You're afraid to do anything because no matter what you did, you felt like damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? And so you look at too, your emotions were all bottled up. They were just locked tight, and the red sword was always like stabbing right through them. You felt like there's nothing you could do to get stability in your life. Even when you tried to move forward, you just couldn't. That's the 9, by the way, not the 8. You tried to move forward, you couldn't because you have the 2 4s, 4 and 4 is 8. And so it was just kind of like this engine just kept perpetrating these falsehoods, and you just were always stuck because it was always around something in the material world. It could have been finances, there could have been something else. But the point was, they always spread rumors behind your back, and you kind of had enough and can't take it anymore because it was messing with your mental health. So no, you're not running away. You're trying to protect yourself from the toxic energy. Okay. We go again here. See? So I'm now kind of reading down the line. So I see that, okay, I want more information on this toxic energy. And you can see here you have a 5, right? And so the 5 is all around constant contention, constant struggle. And the only way to be free with the 5 is to break away and not really care anymore. Right? So after you kind of realize what the cycle was, you break free from the cycle because on this side of the pentacles, and you're saying, I'm done with it. And so that is now becoming easier. So you notice you go from 8 to a 5, it's becoming lesser of a degree. So you know that if you want to be free from this, you have to learn to let it go. Right? You have to learn to let it go. And if you do that, then so what I do is you keep pulling cards. So I'm kind of like pairing them, but I'm trying to see like where the energy is taking me off this card. So since I want to know what happens if I let the energy go, that I'll finally have happiness in my life again, the sun. I'll finally have things feel a little bit easier. You know, I have a lot more clarity because the shadow is being lifted and now I'm able to basically breathe once again. So that's how I read that question with the Marseille. And you see, we start with just 3 cards and I moved it into like what, 6 cards? I am not going to do numerology here, But I just want to kind of show you how you read the question with the Marseille. But now we're going to shift the same question over to the Rider Waite. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle the cards just to kind of get it mixed up a little bit. Clear the energy. One more time. I'm going to cut the deck. Now we're going to do 3 cards, right? Start off the way we did here. And so with the Rider Waite, I always use spreads. With the Marseille, I read linear. All right. And the core theme is Ace of Cups. So should you cut people off, parents for self-protection, or just run away? Well, that's the thing. The Marseille is more of a yes or no, where the Rider Waite's more open-ended. But trying to answer the question with a yes or no, it's more around you want new things. You're tired of always being beat up. You want a relationship. You want that love. You want to be accepted. You want I can't say gossip because, again, you wouldn't see these cards. So from this card only, you want things to work out, right? You're always hoping for something better. So we know the question around self-protection or running away. And so you're saying like, well, I want it to change. I want a new beginning. I want a 1. Okay. So what's kind of blocking you is there's all this anxiety. Now we're kind of getting the same vibe, right? The Moon and the 9 of Swords. We had 9 of Swords here too. You feel nothing but anxiety. I use this term a lot in this card because if you look really close, what do you see in the blanket? It's every single sign of the zodiac in that blanket. So you feel the whole world will just come crashing down on you and there's nothing you can do to break free from it. It's like you just are always struggling and you feel like you can't get it right because they just will not stop it. And that's what's blocking you from really not walking away, from not leaving them behind, from not trying to work it out because it's just too much. You can't take anymore, right? And then the final outcome is that if you continue in this relationship, you're going to have nothing but your mind's going to get so scary here. What's kind of alarming to me here is that this card is not emotions. So we got to be very clear on that. That's one thing people say, and it's not true. This is a card where you are so broken mentally that it breaks your heart. It breaks every ounce of your fiber. This shows me that if you stay, you're going to go into severe depression or even have feelings of unaliving yourself, right? And that's a very bad place to be. So by breaking away from a toxic environment, parents or whatever, you're not running away. You're basically saving yourself. And sometimes that's exactly what you have to do because if you can't fix somebody else. You can't make them treat you how you want to be treated, right? So what do, you got to just leave sometimes. And what will happen is it's going to hurt, but over time, it's going to heal and you end up being okay. But you got to walk away so you don't fall into this massive state of depression that will just tear you apart. Just tear you apart. Now, since I won't go more than 3 cards, what I would do next is, and this is something new I picked up, I'm going to run these 4 dice here, okay? And the reason why is these are numbered 1 to, I think, 16. So anything over a 14, which is a 4, which goes to the king, gets re-rolled. And because it's each element, you have fire, wands, you have blue, water, cups, you have earth, green, you have mind, yellow. So we're going to just roll this dice. And so what's saying is that emotionally, the earth has to be respun because it ended on a 15. There's not 15 minors. 3. Okay. So it's telling you that if you want to really protect yourself, you have to 3 in the earthly plane. You have to learn to start finding other people to be around. Find a kind of a new family, a 3, a group, a new way to communicate with people. So obviously a new group of people, because that's what's in the earthly plane of people, a new group to where you can grow and expand and find happiness once again, because this isn't expanding. This is actually holding you back. Okay. Then when you look at your passions and desires, if you can do that, then you want it. That maps down to the Ace of Wands. So you'll start sparking your fire again. You'll start finding your passion again. So all this toxic energy of them talking behind your back goes away and you start living again. You start breathing. Your fire starts coming back slowly, right? Then you have the Five of Cups. The five, well, I don't want to say cups, but it's five and it is cups. So it's emotional, which means that trauma you felt, that hard time you felt, you five it. So you now start becoming free and you break free from the emotional turmoil, okay, to basically start living again. Five, freedom. And then the mind, you start having good thoughts, ones. You start having new ideas, new innovation, new ways to move forward, new possibilities, new beginnings, new things in your life. So no more depression, no more feeling like you don't belong in this earth when you do belong. Because, just be clear too, everybody's so important in this life. And I'm going to segue here, but I've known, boy, I've been through something kind of really tragic in the last year. And it was dealing with a person who just is no longer with us. And it was a very difficult situation. And I'll tell you this, no matter what you do, always be an ear. And sometimes that's not enough. That's where they need to get professional help. But always be an ear, because if you're an ear, you can stop that from happening. Because in this world, so many people feel alone that they want to give up and quit because they feel like they're not important enough, because so many people are so selfish and they're so caught up in their own world that they just don't lend an ear. How hard is that? Just to listen to somebody, even if they ramble for an hour, so what? Hour of your day, like really? If you could save a life, if you could save a human being, save a soul, that's worth more than anything. I'm not going to go into that right now, but believe me, this I understand very clearly. So that was deep, heavy, I know, but just like I said, when I read cards, things just pop in my head, energy just flows. And that's a tutorial for 10. If you did enjoy this reading of how to use the Marseille versus the Rider Waite and the way I do my dice, let me know. I'm going to continue to do more of these. If there's something different you want to learn too, let me know in these tutorials, and I'll bring that up as well. Also, make sure you go over to wordswithtwist.com, sign up for the newsletter. It's free. Or better yet, become a member, free or paid, because there's benefits you will receive the public does not, okay? Like I have a new newsletter going out. It's called the Universe's 2 Cents. And what that is like a weekly column where I draw some cards and I write about it in a really nice little short message that you get weekly. I'm trying to do it weekly or even twice a week. And it's like a Dear Abby thing, but with the Lenormand and Marseille and tarot and so forth. Anyway, that's all I got. Again, wordswithtwist.com. If you want a reading too for yourself, you want to help on a reading, I also offer that as a service. So go to book a reading. You can see what I offer. Pick one, and I'm here for you. All right. And until next time, I want to thank you for sitting with me, and I want to see you in my next tutorial or reading. All right. Bye, everybody.